They said I didn't belong, that my existence was just a shadow in their perfect picture, but tonight, they were about to see me. I stood at the edge of the glass doors of Lakewood Estate, heart thudding like a drum, the hum of lights and music spilling out from the grand ballroom. The air smelled like pine and frost, the kind of cold that makes you feel alive and small at the same time. My hands gripped the small, carefully wrapped box, ribbon tight under my fingers. My dress was deep emerald, silk-hugging curves I'd long tried to ignore, and my heels clicked sharp on the polished marble floor as I exhaled, steadying myself. I wasn't supposed to be here. Everyone thought I'd be invisible tonight. My sister, Felicity, 27, the golden daughter, the darling everyone adored, had orchestrated this wedding with precision, an event meant to showcase her life's perfection. And me? I was outside, listed under hallway seating, literally next to the janitor's closet, where the mop bucket sat idle, smelling faintly of bleach and lemons. I remembered her words from our last text exchange. "Please, Iris, no drama today. It's my day." My heart had ached then, swallowing the familiar punch of being minimized, erased, and overlooked. But something inside me had shifted over the last year. Something quiet, strong, unyielding. I was done shrinking. Tonight, I wasn't just a shadow. Through the glass doors, the ballroom gleamed. Crystal chandeliers reflected every gold-toned candle, every meticulously arranged orchid, every flicker of laughter from the guests. The air shimmered with pride, opulence, and expectation. Felicity floated inside in her ivory gown, a soft halo around her like the world revolved around her smile. Her new husband, Noah, tall, composed, smiling at the cameras, completely unaware of the storm brewing just beyond the doors. I had driven 3 hours from Providence alone, replaying memories I hadn't allowed myself to revisit in years. Childhood photos in dusty frames, report cards no one read, school recitals where applause came late, if at all. Felicity had always been first, brightest, loudest. And I had been the one who quietly cleaned up the pieces, fixed the messes no one acknowledged, smiled when no one noticed. Mom called me practical. Dad said I was independent. In their eyes, invisible wasn't cruel. It was convenient. Tonight, that convenience would end. I set the small box on the folding table outside the service doors, my fingers lingering on the silver wrapping. Inside was a simple crystal frame, a folded note, and the proof of months of secrets carefully documented. It wasn't meant to humiliate. It was meant to reveal, to show the truth quietly, with precision, like the snap of a camera shutter capturing reality. Footsteps echoed behind me. A staff member wheeled a cart, laughter spilling into the hallway, and every time the service door swung, I caught glimpses of the chandeliers, the guests, the perfect life I'd always been excluded from. Then Felicity appeared, veil trailing, bouquet in hand, her reflection doubling in the glass. 2 versions of her, the adored one inside, the cruel one outside. "Well," she said, tilting her head, that familiar smirk playing on her lips, "looks like they finally figured out where you belong." Her words landed soft but sharp, like glass breaking quietly. I blinked. What's that supposed to mean? She smiled, the kind of smile designed to erase me. "You know the rules. You don't belong. You never did." I drew in a breath. The hallway smelled sharper now, of pine, frost, and cold anger tempered into clarity. I met her gaze. "Iris," I said softly, "there's always been space for both of us. You're the one who keeps shrinking it." Her eyes narrowed. "Oh, please, it's my day. Not everything is about you. You could at least pretend to be happy for once." I laughed softly, the sound dry, air escaping from a crack long ignored. "You made sure I couldn't even sit in the same room. What exactly am I celebrating?" The mask on her face flickered for a fraction of a second, a glimpse of something vulnerable. Maybe fear. Then it snapped back. Felicity straightened, chin up, aura immaculate. "You twist everything. Maybe Mom was right about you. You always make things difficult. Her words hit harder than I expected, pulling me back to the brown journal I had found on her vanity last Thanksgiving. Every page chronicled her life: first day of school, favorite meal, college acceptance. My name, my birthdays, nothing. It wasn't neglect. It was erasure. "I'm not difficult," I said, my voice calm, deliberate, ice under velvet. "You just don't like that I see things the way they really are." She rolled her eyes, the sharpness of it echoing in the hall. "You sound like Dad, pathetic, bitter. Face it, nobody needs your approval. Not here. Not ever." Felicity turned, veil brushing the marble, leaving a trail of perfume and disdain. I watched her go, feeling the familiar burn behind my eyes, but this time it was clean, controlled, purposeful. I lifted the silver box, tracing the ribbon once more, then slid it into my bag. If they didn't want me inside, fine. I wasn't leaving empty-handed. Not tonight. The night pressed cold against my skin as I walked around the side of Lakewood Estate, the sounds of celebration leaking through the massive glass windows, laughter and music dancing over the hum of the lake. Inside, Felicity's perfect day unfolded, every detail exactly as she had rehearsed for months. Yet outside, everything had shifted, and I could feel the weight of the truth I carried tucked safely in the silver box. My fingers curled around it, heart steady, each step on the gravel deliberate, echoing in rhythm with the heartbeat that had been quiet for far too long. I remembered the small victories, the little moments I had ignored in myself, the years spent bending to the edges of her world, and I realized this night wasn't just about exposing her. It was about reclaiming mine. I approached the reception entrance, slipping back through the service doors, unnoticed by most. Guests laughed, clinking glasses, photographers adjusting their cameras for yet another golden memory. And there she was, Felicity, radiant in ivory, raising her glass for a toast, oblivious to what was coming. I moved with calm precision, placing the silver box among the gifts, my handwriting neat, deliberate, impossible to miss. Inside the box were the screenshots, receipts, the truth she had tried so carefully to hide. No threats, no drama, just pure evidence. I stepped back, checking my reflection in the polished floor, straightening the emerald dress that felt more like armor than fabric, and walked away from the table, exiting the hallway with the satisfaction of someone finally claiming her space. Moments later, a distant murmur rose from the guests as the box was discovered. I could hear the curiosity, the whispers, the sudden hush that always precedes revelation. Someone tugged at the ribbon, lifted. The lid and the frame and notes spilled into view. The room tilted, caught in that fragile moment of realization. Felicity's laughter faltered. Her smile wavered. She froze, eyes darting to the screen-printed messages and receipts laid bare in front of the crowd. The violins hit a wrong note, glasses trembled in hands, and for the first time, the world she had built began to crumble quietly but irrevocably. Who sent this? Her voice cracked, brittle and sharp, betraying the mask she had worn so carefully. I stayed hidden in the shadows, letting the scene unfold. Her mother-in-law, Victoria, stepped in, her expression cold and precise. "I think you should read it all before you blame anyone," she said, slow, deliberate, almost judicial. The crowd leaned in, silent, sensing the storm. Felicity's face drained of color. Noah, composed moments ago, scanned every page with growing disbelief, jaw tight. "It's real," he said quietly, voice low but firm. "Dates match. Everything matches." The room was still. Only the faint hum of the chandelier lights filled the air. Phones were raised, camera flashes flicked on, capturing her shock in real time. Felicity's hands shook as she lunged for the documents, but the truth was faster, heavier than her attempts to control it. "This can't be happening," she whispered, voice trembling. Guests exchanged glances, the illusion of perfection dissolving before them. A single scream cut through the hall, high and sharp, a sound of disbelief, anger, and finally, realization. Felicity stumbled, her gown catching under her heel. Mascara streaked across her cheeks, a brittle crown fallen from her head. "Iris!" she shouted, voice cracking. "You did this!" I remained outside, chest steady, breath even. The scream I had waited a lifetime to hear, not for revenge, not for malice, but for closure, echoed across the lake, bouncing off the water, carrying the weight of every year I had been invisible. Inside, the crowd's whispers swelled. Guests moved closer, drawn to the fracture in the perfection they had admired. Noah held up the annulment papers, signed, a quiet but decisive end to the life Felicity thought she controlled. Her protests fell flat, the elegance of her world shattering piece by piece. "You can't humiliate me like this," she cried. "I'm not humiliating you," Noah said evenly. "You did this yourself." Silence wrapped the room. Crystal clinked against plates as someone dropped a fork. Music ceased completely. Every eye was on Felicity, realization sharp and inescapable. Victoria exhaled slowly. "Funny," she said, voice calm, measured. "The only thing your sister did was tell the truth." Outside, I leaned against the car, eyes fixed on the illuminated windows, feeling the cool night air against my face. I didn't feel triumph. I felt relief. Freedom. The scream faded, swallowed by the night, replaced by a quiet I had never allowed myself to enjoy. My phone buzzed incessantly, messages from my parents, numbers I didn't recognize, calls piling up like they expected a frantic explanation. I didn't answer. Tonight, the silence was my victory, my affirmation. I slid into the driver's seat, started the engine, headlights cutting through the darkness, and as I drove away, the lake's surface shimmered under the reflection of broken chandeliers and a crumbling facade. Felicity's perfect world, captured in gold light and camera flashes, was left behind, while I carried with me a newfound sense of self, unshaken, unapologetic, and alive. When I reached my small apartment in Boston, the city was waking, streetlights dimming under the morning sun. I placed the dress carefully on the chair, emerald silk still gleaming, the silver box resting on the counter. I didn't open it again. The work was done. Outside, the city buzzed with life, but inside, I felt peace. For the first time, silence didn't mean being unseen. It meant being free. I poured a cup of coffee, watched the sun rise across the skyline, and thought about the lake, the scream, the hallway, the truth. I thought about how sometimes the loudest moments aren't the ones made with sound, but the ones made with steps taken, decisions made, courage claimed. If you've ever been ignored, pushed aside, made to feel like you don't exist, know this. Walking away isn't weakness. It's strength. It's liberation. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply leave a room knowing that your presence was never truly invisible, and your truth will find its way. Like, share, and comment if you've ever taken your life, your happiness, your voice back from those who tried to erase you. Let the world know. Silence can be your armor, truth your weapon, and freedom your victory.